Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island. The team is shocked to date Nolan's Cross back to 1200 AD. The Curse of Oak Island team has learned that Nolan's Cross dates all the way back to the 13th century as evidence mounts that the Templar Knights hid buried treasure on Oak Island. On this week's episode, Rick Lagina, accompanied by Alex Lagina, Peter Fornetti, and Doug Crowell, went on a jaunt to Italy to examine a couple of underground cave systems linked to the medieval order of the Templar Knights. The guys hoped to find connections to Oak Island by examining the multiple carvings on the walls of the caves. However, the team came across their most startling revelation when they visited archaeoastronomer Adriano Gaspani. Archaeoastronomy is a scientific discipline that examines how ancient stone monuments were built to align with stars or other celestial objects. Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid at Giza are just two particularly famous examples of this. The discipline can actually be used to date a stone monument. Over the centuries, the position of stars moves in the night sky, so that a star will rise and set in a different position over time. This can be used to date a monument to a particular era. With that in mind, Adriano set to work and managed to identify 6 stars that aligned perfectly with Oak Island's Nolan's Cross. Nolan's Cross, which lies near the swamp on Oak Island, consists of 6 large boulders placed in the shape of a cross that covers hundreds of feet. The paved area and Nolan's Cross both date to the 13th century. Adriano then blew the minds of Rick and the others when he calmly dated Nolan's Cross to 1200 AD. The implications of this were not lost on Doug, who pointed out that the paved area of the swamp had been carbon dated to 1200 AD. This means that 2 major features from the swamp area are dated to the 13th century, and this also ties in with Zena Halpern's theory that Templar Knights made multiple journeys to Oak Island for 2 centuries, beginning with their first trip in 1179 AD. Earlier this season, expert theorist Brian Farrow told the guys that he had used sacred geometric numbers to conclude that Nolan's Cross was pointing in the direction of the money pit and the garden shaft, which all leads to the stone monument taking on ever greater significance in the island's mystery. Also in Italy, the guys toured 2 underground cave complexes in Camerano and Osimo, both dating back over 2,000 years. The Warren of Caverns became Templar strongholds and then areas of refuge as the Knights hid from persecution from the 14th century onward. Oak Island team found more Templar symbols linked to the island. The Oak Island team came across symbols carved onto the walls that they had seen in other Templar structures in Portugal and in Nova Scotia. Alex and Peter found a circular symbol with a dot in the center that resembled the carving found on the Echo stone on Oak Island in the 1920s. The guys also found a goose claw carving, a symbol they'd previously encountered on a rock in Liverpool, Nova Scotia, that is said to be the mark of the stonemasons of the Templars. Meanwhile, back on the island, it was a particularly quiet episode last night. The Dumas Mining Company is slowly getting to the bottom of the garden shaft. They intend to go beyond the originally agreed depth of 82 feet to about 95 feet to investigate the possibility of a tunnel leading into the blob area. Also, in the swamp area, Billy Gerhardt and some of the guys cleared the muck and water off of the suspected ramp. This stone feature is thought to connect the stone roadway with the paved area, which the guys appeared to confirm. The sun was just beginning to rise over Oak Island, casting a golden glow across the tranquil waters of Mahone Bay. The early morning mist clung to the trees, giving the island an ethereal quality. It was the perfect setting for the momentous day that lay ahead. The team, led by Rick and Marty Lagina, was gathered around the latest find, their faces a mix of anticipation and disbelief. The object of their fascination was Nolan's Cross, an artifact that had already sparked endless theories and speculation. Today they were going to date it. Rick Lagina, ever the optimist, had a glint in his eye as he looked at the cross. If this dates back as far as we think, it could change everything, he said, his voice filled with excitement. Marty, the more pragmatic of the two, nodded, though his skepticism was evident. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," he cautioned. "We've had our hopes dashed before." The rest of the team shared in the anticipation. Jack Begley, with his boundless enthusiasm, could barely contain himself. Craig Tester, always the analytical mind, was meticulously taking notes, his face a mask of concentration. Alex Lagina and Peter Fornetti, the next generation of treasure hunters, watched with wide eyes, fully aware of the historical significance that could unfold. The expert they had called in to date the cross was Dr. Emily Hargrove, a renowned archaeologist with a specialization in medieval artifacts. She was a no-nonsense woman in her late 40s with a sharp mind and a keen eye for detail. As she carefully examined the cross, the team held their breath, the air thick with anticipation. Dr. Hargrove worked meticulously, using a combination of carbon dating and metallurgical analysis to determine the age of the cross. The process seemed to drag on forever, each passing minute adding to the tension. Finally, she looked up, her expression a mixture of astonishment and excitement. "This cross," she began, her voice steady, "dates back to approximately 1200 AD. The reaction was immediate. Gasps of shock and exclamations of disbelief echoed through the group. Rick looked like he might cry. Marty, for once, was rendered speechless. Jack let out a whoop of joy, and even the usually stoic Craig allowed himself a rare smile. "This is incredible," Rick finally managed to say. 1200 AD. That predates anything we found here by centuries. Marty, still trying to process the information, nodded slowly. "It raises a lot of questions," he said. "Who made it? How did it get here? And why?" Dr. Hargrove, now fully engaged in the excitement, nodded. "This opens up a whole new avenue of investigation," she said. "We need to look at this from a historical perspective. In the early 13th century, the world was a very different place. The Knights Templar, the Crusades, the discovery of new lands. It's possible this cross is connected to any number of those events." The team's minds raced with possibilities. Theories began to fly, each more tantalizing than the last. Could the cross have been left by the Templars, fleeing persecution and seeking refuge in the New World? Or perhaps it was a relic from a long-lost expedition, the remnants of which still lay buried beneath Oak Island's enigmatic surface. Rick, always the visionary, saw this as a turning point. "We need to focus our efforts on understanding the context of this find," he said. "The answers are out there, and this cross is the key." Marty, ever the realist, agreed. "We need to be thorough," he said. "This could lead us to something much bigger." The rest of the day was spent in a flurry of activity. The team pored over maps, historical records, and previous findings, trying to piece together the puzzle. Dr. Hargrove provided invaluable insight, her knowledge of medieval history proving to be a crucial asset. As the sun set over Oak Island, the team gathered around a campfire, their spirits high with the promise of new discoveries. That night, as they sat under the stars, the sense of camaraderie was palpable. They were more than just a group of treasure hunters. They were a team bound by a common goal and a shared passion for uncovering the island's secrets. The discovery of Nolan's cross dating back to 1200 AD had reignited their determination and strengthened their resolve. In the days that followed, the investigation took on a renewed vigor. The team explored new sites, re-examined old clues, and reached out to experts in various fields. The cross, once just another artifact, had become a symbol of hope and possibility. One evening, as Rick and Marty stood on the shore, looking out at the water, Rick turned to his brother. "This is why we do this," he said quietly. "It's not just about the treasure. It's about the history, the adventure, the journey." Marty smiled, clapping Rick on the back. "And we're just getting started." The curse of Oak Island had once again proven that its mysteries were far from being fully unraveled. With the revelation that Nolan's cross dated back to 1200 AD, the team had a new direction, a new focus. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles and uncertainties. But they also knew that they were closer than ever to unlocking the island's secrets. As the team delved deeper into their research, the island seemed to come alive with possibilities. Each new day brought fresh discoveries, new connections, and a growing sense that they were on the verge of something monumental. The journey was far from over, but with each step, they moved closer to their goal. In the end, it wasn't just the cross that had been uncovered, it was the spirit of adventure, the thrill of the hunt, and the unyielding belief that the truth was out there, waiting to be found. The curse of Oak Island had claimed many, but for Rick, Marty, and their team, it was a challenge they were more than willing to face. And with the discovery of Nolan's cross, they had taken a giant leap forward on their quest to unlock the island's deepest secrets.